let's see. What? 4 years? That's a lot.
You know what? I think I need advice.
Here is some expert. I want to tell you something.
All right, what's up, guys? So if you want to learn how to code for free and do it super fast, there's the first one thing that you have to know. So first off, you got to write a lot of code, which is great because that's what the whole point is about. So you're going to have to sit in front of the computer for probably like 4 hours at a time and read some tutorials and write code, a lot of code, and sit there and debug it and go like this is not working. And just push through it and get it working. Now what I gotta say is start a project. So whether that's your own personal website or whatever, like build an app, anything you can think of, anything for fun, literally just copy a tutorial, but keep the same project and keep building on that with every new thing you learn. Go back to the same project and add like that new technique or the new way of writing code that you learn. And just keep building that. Put it on GitHub so that way anybody can read your code anytime, give you tips or hire you, and deploy it, put it out into the world so anybody can play around with it and try it out. All right, guys, so the second thing you gotta do is honestly get a lot of outside help. Look, you're gonna have mentors, you're gonna have peers, you're gonna have just like ask a lot of questions on forums. Because honestly, everybody learns faster when they have mentors and peer feedback. So that's it, just go like get super active on forums, ask a lot of questions, Google around for the answer, and if you don't find the answer, then literally just throw that question on a forum and just be active. Find maybe a couple mentors, just anybody who's 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, and you can just go with a question every once in a while, and you're just gonna learn so much faster. And the final thing you can really do is just sit next to somebody and write code together, do like a pair programming session or something like that. So you're gonna sit next to them, help them debug, and you're gonna learn their tools and their workflows, and you're gonna pick up little tips and techniques that you can just adapt right into your workflow, and it's gonna make you so much more productive. All right, what's up, guys? So the next tip, and this one's super great. So you're gonna be even better than a lot of expert programmers. So here's how it goes. You're gonna leverage other people's code, and here's how it works. So look, people write code and they open source it. So they'll literally publish it on the internet, you can use it. There's a lot of open source libraries, frameworks for anything you want, web programming, machine learning, mobile apps, literally anything. And not to mention APIs. If you want to grab data and you want to use that for a cool project, well, there's almost certainly an API out there that you can just use. So how does this really work? Well, if you want to do something for your project, the first thing you got to think about is like, oh, I want to do like that kind of thing. Let me find out if there is a library or a framework or an API that lets me do that kind of thing. And just go and research it, search on what's called awesome lists for your language, and go find out how to use that library and put it in your code. And you'll be stringing together a couple different libraries and APIs, and suddenly, boom, you're doing something really cool in your app that maybe no one else can do. The next point you gotta know is, honestly, just start with a high-level language. So it doesn't matter like where you start on the stack, if you're doing front-end, if you're doing mobile development, or if you're really doing like some back-end data engineering. So a high-level language, what does that mean? Common examples are JavaScript, Python, Ruby. So basically this is opposed to more low-level languages like C, C++, Java. So basically, a low-level language, you're going to be dealing with a lot of the computer memory. You're going to have to allocate your own memory and deal with pointers and all this other stuff. So honestly, just choose a language where that stuff is done for you by the language interpreter. And so you can Google what are good high-level languages, but again, the ones I mentioned. So if you're doing mobile development, I recommend checking out Flutter. This is from Google. It lets you do cross-platform. You can also use React or React Native. React Native is for mobile development. If you're doing front end, you're building like interactive web apps, you can use React with JavaScript. If you're doing back end programming for APIs and stuff, I highly recommend Python. It's just a great general purpose programming language. You're gonna get used to everything, and there's almost a library for everything. And if you're using JavaScript on the back end, you would use Node.js. All right, well that's it. Use high level languages. You're gonna code way faster. Guys, debugging sucks. But the next tip is all about debugging, because honestly, if you're gonna learn how to code super fast, you gotta learn how to debug super fast. So honestly, like debugging, you gotta get really good at it. So the first tip is just go and search the best debugging tools you can possibly get for your library, your language, your framework. And like the thing is, you're gonna wanna output all the data. Because usually when you get a bug, it's because there's some kind of undefined values in your data. So if you can see all the data in one place, you're gonna know, oh, that's where the issue is. So if you do get a bug, here's the process. It's pretty simple. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is look at your bug, look at the error output, right? So you run your code, you get an error, read it carefully, and understand, like, oh, why did that happen? Is it the library? Is it my code? You know, what could be the issue? Really think about it. You know, don't just take a look, like really think about the error. The next step is to read the stack trace. So you're gonna look and see the output and see like the stack trace, like, oh, it was that line of code called that line of code, and it called this function. And so go to the first place in your code where you're calling some library function or whatever, and find that first place in your code, take a look, and just see like, oh, okay, it was probably like I made this mistake, like I put it's a typo or whatever it is, right? Try to fix it and just run the code again. If you get a different error, well, congrats, you're making progress. You really gotta think like, set a hypothesis, like, oh, I think that's what's going wrong, so that when you fix it, you're gonna get information back. Like, oh, maybe it was that, maybe it wasn't, right? Look, if you're just debugging and it's taking like 20 or 30 minutes on your own, then you should really just go and Google it. So copy paste the entire error into Google and try to find like a Stack Overflow post or some kind of GitHub comments where people have had the same issue and like just try out some of their solutions. And then last, if you're really stuck, just hit up a mentor or a peer. Send a message, explain, hey, I got this bug, can you help me out? And honestly, yeah, if you're just like hitting your head against the wall, it's been a couple hours, and you're just writing code, then yeah, you need to take a break and do something else. Get some exercise and clear your head.
What? He just left?
Hey, what's
Hey, what's up?
So when you're writing code and it's been like 4 hours and you're like, oh man, code is hard, that's when you need a break. So take breaks. Literally like go get some exercise, grab a snack, take a 20-minute nap, whatever it takes to get you fresh and energized so you can sit down again and keep debugging or writing code or whatever. So this is the last 2 tips. So if you're writing code and you want to add a little spice to your code and get like pro super fast, learn a little bit of machine learning. Now it sounds kind of like a hard topic, very technical, but here's the trick. So if you learn how to build a recommendation engine, you can actually do that really quickly, and there's some great libraries out there and great tutorials that can teach you how to do that. So just like how Spotify and YouTube will keep track of which videos you watch or what music you listen to, and they'll find people like that and show you basically what they're watching or what they're listening to. And that's it, that's recommendation algorithm. So find a tutorial that teaches you how to use the libraries for your language in order to build that, and then you'll know machine learning. And the last tip is if you already learn like a programming language and you're getting pretty good with it, then the best way that you can learn faster is really just learn another programming language. So like add something in. So like if you're learning JavaScript, then pick a totally different language, something like maybe learn, I would say like there's some cool languages out there where you can really learn some kind of like next level techniques. So there's a couple like, so Lisp is one, you can learn Rust, you can learn Go or Golang as it's called. This is from Google. And Crystal is also a very cool language. And there's like Erlang and Elixir. And for JavaScript specifically, I would recommend Reason ML is a very cool one to check out. And then of course for mobile development, if you're already doing React Native, just try like a quick project using Flutter and just see how that works. Yeah, so that's it. Learn different languages and bring all those techniques you learn back into your original project, your original language, and that's just going to level up your code.
Thank you guys for watching us, and don't forget subscribe.
How much are you going to pay me per hour for